Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen from the channel. Today I do something totally different. As you know, I call my channel the Absolute Beginner, and that's what I am. I am an absolute beginner. And that's good, that's fine. You know, we all have started somewhere, and I obviously started late in my life, so here we are. But that has been, well, nearly a year ago, so I thought I'll give you a little update how I progressed up to the next level to be just a normal beginner, private first class maybe, if you want to, and maybe give some of you something to giggle about. Why not? That's fair enough. So I want to tell you what happened when I started. I started out, and I would like to start with brushing. I obviously started out with a normal paintbrush and stuff like this. Here we go. I'll just move over there. You can see stuff like this. I started with that, not as many, but yeah, that's what I had, and I still use them, and I still like it. Then I bought my first brush, which had a similar setup. So this was plastic here, and broke off very easily. See, I was clumsy, and I bought metal one, and this one is not straight. So yeah. I still use that sometimes for some base coats, and I probably need to clean it properly. As you can see, I'm still in the process of doing some tests on that. Then I thought, all right, I need something better, I need a gravity feed gun, and I went out and bought this one. This is called Aircraft here in South Africa. It's a Chinese make, let's be honest. And it is adjustable here at the back, so that you can't pull the lever too far back. It has an adjustable air inlet here at the front, which I also might say is its Achilles heel. Started spattering, didn't work. The reason is that this lets in air everywhere. So all you have is bubbles in here. It also clogs up very easily. I still can use it when I put this on top and close up the hole, or plug it closed, and then it actually works very nice because it sucks in the air from the bottom, and then I have some very nice stuff to work on. It's doing well. But yeah, I haven't used it for a while because a couple of weeks ago I just gave up on that as well and doled out the money, and here in South Africa it's quite a bit of money, and got myself a Badger. It's a Patriot 105, and I am the happiest guy you can ever be. It works perfectly well. It goes very smooth. Love it. Does everything it should do. It is just a perfect gun. It came with this lid. And all of you who have a Badger 105 know it's not the right lid. I knew it from the YouTube videos. Doesn't do anything, it just sits there and falls off. Luckily, the one from my Chinese gun fits perfectly, so I use that one now. But otherwise, this is the best air gun I have had so far, and it works perfectly well. If I would have known airbrushing can be that nice and comfortable, I would have started and bought that one from the very beginning. So lesson learned, don't buy a cheap airbrush when you start out. Rather paint a little bit longer with your brushes and buy something decent. So one of the first projects I had with this airbrush is this Beetle. I haven't done any polishing, nothing. I just painted some paint on it, and I put some clear over it. So I need some polishing out, and then it will look very nice. And which brings me to the point, obviously living in Africa means that you have to try to work with stuff which might not possibly be the main route the average hobbyist in the first world would go. So what I use, apart from the Tamiyas, which I like a lot, I do use them. Here you go. I'm sure you all have seen those. I also use spray paint like this one. Now I don't use it out of the, let's put it like that so you can see the whole thing. I don't use it out of the spray gun, so I don't spray it from the gun. I decant it. Now I've seen the guys decanting stuff with straws and aluminium straws and wonderful arrangements which they made. But none of that worked for me really and made a huge mess. So what I do something different. I use, let's see if I can find it, I use a very special tool. Looks like this. Right. So what I do then, let me go up a little bit here. There you go. I take a hammer and slightly tap on top of this particular case, a grinded down old screwdriver, and make a hole and leave it in there and let the gas come out slowly. Don't pull it out because you will have a huge mess. So you let the gas come out slowly, and once everything is out and you waited a couple more minutes, you make a hole on the other side, and then you decant it into a container. What I use, for example, this was a copper paint which I did that with. So what I use these copper paint. As you can hear, there's a noise in there because what I do once I decant my this tin, I open it up and get the marbles out which are in there to mix up the paint. So I put the marbles in, and then I have a nice can like this, which is now nicely closed up. For this case I also have a very special tool available. It's called a pair of pliers. There we go. Open it up and you can see, there you are. We have the copper in there, and I can spray paint that very, very nicely. Actually works very nice. And yeah, you get 300 millimeters for the price of a Tamiya can, which is, you know, something which I really have to consider. I'm not the only one in my household. I cannot just throw out tens of dollars into Tamiya paints. Also, they are very nice and I use them a lot. For spray painting, I would rather use the copper, just to give you an idea of what finish I get. Here you have a bit of an idea what the copper looks like. Not too bad. I'll like it a lot. Right. And as you can see, I also made some models. Now, quite a few of you guys said, we only see the kit reviews. Do you actually do some of the kits? Yeah, I do some of the kits, and I still make a lot of messes. And I'm far from perfect. I'm still a beginner. Here we go. And this one. Go. Still do the engines. Love that. Love doing the interiors. Here you are. So put some light on the subject. Here we go. So yeah, I'm building. It's actually mostly what I do. I love it. It's great. You can see I've aged it a bit here at the back as well. Did some weathering. So yeah, that's what I do. No, it's not perfect. No, it's probably, and some of you will probably cringe. Oh, that's all right. But what I don't do, and I've done that at the beginning, and then it nearly killed the hobby for me, is that I wanted everything to be absolutely 100% perfect. Stripped, restripped, and come then to the point that I actually didn't want to go on anymore because I didn't finish anything. And you know, at the end, that's what you want. You actually want finished stuff. Yeah, I wasn't able to finish stuff. So yeah, I then decided, all right, I do it as good as I can. Maybe strip it only once, and then what comes out comes out. You know, that will be it. Something like this, for example. That this one. Here you are. There's the engine. There you go. And I see, and it's going slow. Let's be honest, it's going slow. But I can see that I get progressively better. This one, it was my first try in weathering the grill a little bit to give it some more depth. As you can see, one of my big things are still the windows. And the main reason for that is not really that it is impossible to get in windows. The main reason is that I'm not patient enough. You know, I don't give it the time to dry. I try to use glues which are fast and that kind of stuff, and I shouldn't do that. So that's my own fault, and I will certainly, you know, will be a lot slower. And on the topic of glues, what do I use? Well, I use this, which is just a super glue of sorts, crazy glue as you guys call it. I use the, you know, normal Tamiya extra thin. This particular one is actually part of my putty. That's what I use as well. So I just cut up spruce, put them in here, and then you have putty, and you can close up some gaps and let it dry overnight, and then you can just sand it down. It works very, very well for me. I also have the normal putty, but I mostly use my self-made putty over here. I started out obviously with those, the normal, this is orange clear, but the normal enamel, because they were on the special somewhere here around here, and I still have them, and I will use them, and they actually last very long. I mean, some of them are very old indeed, and I will use them on some projects for sure, but mostly I use either the lacquer out of the can, or I use the Tamiya acrylics, or I use some of these, which are just normal acrylics, right over here. There you go. See those, because they are a lot cheaper, and for fine stuff in the interior, you know, you just thin it a bit. Now the question is, what do you thin it with? Well, most of us know obviously this stuff, you know, the Tamiya thinner. You pay a lot of money for this, and it's not really always necessary. I use sometimes a very secret ingredient, which is this blue bottle. Which obviously brings up the question, what is the secret ingredient? Well, I'll show you. It's called Windolene, and I use that, and I use it, you know, just tip my brush in there, and then use the acrylic, and it actually comes out very nice and doesn't leave a lot of brush strokes. So that works very well for me, and is somewhat cheaper than the Tamiya thinner, which I still keep around for very sensitive projects. You know, if you really want to make damn sure, you do the old Tamiya thing. Then I use a lacquer thinners, just normal straight off the mill lacquer thinners for cleaning, sometimes for mixing, but since I have this new airbrush, which I've talked about, I actually use it less and less. I only use a little bit, mostly for cleaning, because there's not much thinning required for the acrylics, just a little bit, which you can do with the Windolene, or you can, for the enamels, I would then use the straight thinner. Also with the Tamiya acrylics, I have learned you can also use the normal straight thinner. Then you have seen my brushes. I clean those brushes, which something like this. This is what my wife made for me. She makes soap, and this is a brush soap. So I use that, you know, when it comes to wash my brushes, I use them to get a nice tip on the brushes. You know, I clean them out in whatever they need to be cleaned out, and then I just put that on the brush and leave it like that to keep it in form. Now I don't do that every day. I may do that once a month with brushes I really use, and then you can make sure that they actually stay in a decent shape, something like this. You know what I want. Now the brushes you all see are all cheapies, Chinamal brushes. Most of them, there were 2 or 3 which I bought at a art shop, and that's it. Then other things which I use is this one, which I'm supposed to use for the windows, and I will do that. The other stuff which I got from the hobby shop is the micro metal foil adhesive, because that I do use for to put alufoil. You know, the other guys use BMF, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just like to use, I got cheap, thin alufoil, and I use that in order to put my foil on my cars, and it comes out better and better. I think the secret is the cutting. I saw also a very nice YouTube video where a guy actually put some masking tape on there and then just only cuts it, so I will try that next to get an even better cut, and that actually works for me very well. As long as you make sure you have a nice clear coat on top, and then you can do that. Clear coat, well, what do I use? I have different clear coats. I have the normal Humbrol clear coat. I'll show you the empty bottle. And you know, you probably have seen that one. That's the acrylic coat. And then I also use this here, which works also very well for me. Thin it a little bit with lacquer thinners and put it on. Haven't had any discoloration. Works very, very nicely. Then other tips and tricks which I have, you know, I don't have much. As I said, I'm a beginner and I'm trying things. Some work, some don't. I obviously use stuff like this to hold. There you go, to hold stuff when I paint it. I have these in different sizes, and I have the normal ones. Yeah, I'm sure you have seen those before. Then I have these kind of bottles, which is acrylic matte, and it's relatively cheap. Let's see, I paid 66 Rand for it, which is around about $6, a little less than $6 for 250 milliliters. I mix it with my Windolene and use it, and it actually works, especially with a brush. I use it mostly with a brush. It works very, very well. Love it. And I'm just looking around and see what else can I show you. I have a box like this with different forms of, we call them Kokus, you call them Sharpies. So gel pens and that kind of stuff, which I try to use to detail. Not as good as I can be, I suppose, but yeah, that is where I'm getting. I have a couple of chrome pens, silver pens, white gel pens and ink pens, which some of them I have used, others I don't. And you know how it goes. You go into a shop and you see, oh, that might work well, and then you put them in your box and then you don't use them, and you'll use them later, or you forget that you have them, and then later on you say, oh, I should have used that. And then you just don't. But I will eventually, I'm sure. Then the other thing I use for painting is this kind of stuff. It's nail polish. I get that here in town, in Cape Town, as what is called the China Mall. So it's a center where there's a lot of China shops. For 6 of those I pay 40 Rand, which is around about $3.50. And they actually work very well, and they have this wonderful 60s colors, which obviously is the area I do most of my cars. And cars is what I mostly do, and then obviously I have different types of sticks and the normal toothpicks, which everybody has. I have the Q-tips, you know, that's all part. And then obviously have these, you know, you get them to do your models. You get them in different sizes, different roughness, so that's normally for nails. I think this was my first one here. You can see it has been used quite a bit. So I have quite a few of those. Some of them have been discarded by my wife. Some of them I picked up. Then I make myself ones. Here I just use a normal of these wooden pedals over here. I use contact glue and I make myself a couple. And then I cut them up, and I can make thick ones, I can make thin ones. And they actually work very nicely. Well, as a hobby knife, as you can see, I have this kind of stuff. My wife has actually nicked my hobby knife. I left it on her dressing table, and that was the end of that. She doesn't want to give it back to me. Well, that's fine. So I found something else. Obviously, I could have just bought another hobby knife, but I didn't. What I did buy was a scalpel. One of these, very cheap, $2 for the handle, and 25 cents for a blade. And yeah, they actually work very nice. I just cut some tape with it. You actually must be very careful, otherwise you cut your paint too much and it actually comes off. So yeah, that works very well. Love it, love it, love it. It's very decent. Then you will need some cleaning tools. Get that from the China shop. There are some nice tools in there which you can use either to mix paint or just cut out stuff or use it for different things. Works very, very well. And also got these from the beauty department. They are very nice blocks. They're also a little bit giving in, so they're very good for roundings and that kind of stuff, roof sections of cars. So that is what I use. Then obviously have the normal pliers. Then I also have smaller ones if you can't get in with the big ones. It's actually for toenails, but they work very well on plastic. And I've still used I've used several things, but I still stick with the Tamiya. You don't get washi tape here, so maybe one day if I order something on Amazon, I order myself a 10-pack of washi tape, but until then I use this, or I also have the thin one from Tamiya which goes around curves. Also bought this one yesterday at the China shop for $1 to see how this will work. It's a bit thick and I'm not quite sure I will use it a lot, maybe just to cover up something, but otherwise, yeah, I'm not so happy with it. Here we go. Then obviously, yeah, I told you about the glues which I have. I told you about the papers. Yeah, I actually found these kind of stuff, which is very nice. It's just sanding paper. It doesn't say grit. You only get it in rough and fine here by us. So, but the fine is very fine, so I'll use it for polishing, and it works very well. And yeah, that's more or less it. There isn't much to it as far as that is concerned. I love it a lot. I try to improvise as much as I can. I use this stuff to put in small parts so I don't lose them while I work on them. And this is how I clean up my stuff. This is how I paint my stuff. I do spray painting, not here but in the garage. I got this a light to help me out as well. Here we go. It's one of these. It's charged with USB. Also in the China shop, I think I paid $8 for it, and it actually works very well. Especially if you have fine stuff, and if you come to my age, that's what you need. Then obviously, because my eyes are not the best anymore, I had one of these, but I found them very awkward to use, and I went and bought myself some reading glasses, just normal reading glasses. So if I do find stuff, I just put on the reading glasses. I wear different normal glasses, but the reading glasses, they enhance something very nicely. They're not as hard on your eyes, and you can actually do fine stuff very nicely with it. So reading glasses I do use. What I haven't found yet is a cat deterrent, and you might hear in the background somebody moaning. This would be this bugger over here. She's always very jealous if I talk to somebody else but her. Here we go. Yeah, that gives you an idea. This is what some of the place looks like. Looks horrible. Everything is a disaster. But yeah, I'll do normally once a week I get over this, and just put my stuff back in order again. And yeah, that's it. I think 25 minutes, that's more than enough. Right, guys, thanks very much for watching. I always have a German channel and did every video in German and English. I'll decided not to do this in German, or actually don't do much in German anymore at all, because also I had some requests for people to do stuff in German. I see that the German channel is not really frequented a lot, so it might not be as necessary. Looks like most people do understand English very well, so I will focus my efforts more on the English channel. I say thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for listening, and I hope we'll see each other soon. Cheers.